Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Whiskey Sour Libations and Conversations. I think I only put on this eyeshadow on one eyelid. Oh, God. Anyway, so before we bring in our guest for this week, I just have a couple of, church announcements. Don't forget to shop the candles, saint-angeles.com/candles. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast with all your friends. We're trying to do these numbers, run these numbers up. And that's all I got for y'all this week. Make sure you buy a candle because I might have a promo happening. So, yeah. Now we're going to bring in our guest. You've seen tons of shows and podcasts like Wording is Hard, the World Series of Spades, and Damn, Internet You Scary, all filmed at his studio. You've also seen his work on National Geographic, Discovery, and the Travel Channel. Please give a warm welcome to Brennon Edwards. Hey!
Yeah, babe. How
What's
goes it?
up? How are you?
All is well, man. How you doing? I
I
don't see the eyeshadow thing, by the way. You look fine to me.
Okay, it's like over here. I was like, oh, I didn't blend enough. I got it now, kind of. Well,
Mhm.
shit happens. What's
Okay, all
going
right.
on?
Just sitting in my soon-to-be remodeled office that I'm cringe. I'm just like, oh man, all this is gonna be gone. But thinking about better days to come.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna hold you, so let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
Um, Tell us how like transit pictures came to be.
Transit Pictures came to be because I was working on the Travel Channel show with
Okay.
it was my very first time working as a producer. I got hired to travel around with a crew of like 6 people, and we were traveling around. And one of the crew members was this guy named Tony Valentino. He was the assistant camera operator, and I was the coordinator slash producer. And it was hell. Like it was absolutely terrible. But we did like a lot of stress bonding. And after the shoot, he pretty much was just like, "Yo, I want to go across the world and shoot all kind of cool stuff." And I was like, "That's cool because I like money, so I'm gonna stay here and you can go be broke." He went off and did that. He came back and was like, "Look at all this cool footage." And I was just like, "Congratulations. What are you gonna do with it?" He's like, "I don't know, but I need somebody who can organize it and make it right. And it's gonna be you." And I was like, "I am doing so much better now than when you left, my brother, months ago. I'm working on the BBC, I'm working on Top Gear, and these other kind of things, and I'm about to travel the world anyway." And I was wrong. These shows kept promising me I was gonna travel the world, and they didn't take me out there. And then when that my second show broke my heart and didn't take me international for the last time, he was like, "Bro, we can go international, we can do this ourselves." I was like, "Fine." And we created this show, this idea of a show called Destination Everywhere, and that was the foundational spark of Transit Pictures, and that's how we started it.
Wow. Oh, shout out to Tony. I know Tony.
Yeah,
I
he and I founded it together.
Yeah, I was like, I know, I did not know that. So
Hmm.
I thought it was you. Okay, cool. That's dope. Okay, so since you told us like the kind of like the foundation of transit, give us a
Hmm.
little bit like about your background. Like, did you go to school for video production, or like did it kind of just fall into your lap? Like, what happened?
No, I did not go to. I went to school for political
I
science at
know.
Oakland University. I'm from Michigan. And I didn't move to LA to work in entertainment either. It was more so like I saw the glass ceiling where I was from in
Okay.
Michigan. I saw it and I was just like, if I stay here in the next 5 years, I'm going to be fat and I'm going to have kids. And then I know what the rest of my life looks like. I saw it. I could see the rest of my life. I was like, I know the trajectory. I won't be poor. I won't be broke, but I also won't be happy because I will never. I like the idea of the X factor in the sense of like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I'm going to be there. So it's going to be okay. And so I just, took a leap of faith. I have a twin brother named Alonzo, and he's like, "I'm go out there with you." But he ended up getting like a huge music opportunity in Atlanta, like a week before we left. So then I ended up
Wow.
coming out here by myself, and was pretty much homeless for a whole year, and was just like, sleeping in the car, couch surfing, just figuring it out. I was out here for an adventure. Like I was like, I'm gonna figure something out. I'm gonna make a way because I'm not going back to Michigan. I'm done with snow. And I ended up working for a black box theater play by a
Okay.
woman named Audra Bryant. And after she's amazing, by the way. And because I did such a good job on her play as the what's it called, stage manager, which I had never
Hmm.
done before either. I did such a good job. She recommended me for an opportunity to work on the X Factor, which I didn't know what that was. And so I interviewed, and they were like, "Okay, you're hired." And I was like, "For what?" The X Factor. I was like, "Okay, what is that?" And they were just like, just show up to this address. And I ended up working on that show for like a whole year. And then that led me to all these other opportunities, being a producer for a bunch of different other networks. And that led me to Tony.
Wow. Wow. Like that is so dope. Like when you talk about like taking a risk and all of that stuff and just going with the flow. And I think especially we think about like all the bad things that could happen. We never focus on, but like this could happen for me, or this could take me somewhere that I never even imagined. And you really like stuck with it. Like that's so
Well,
freaking dope.
I always recommend this. If you're thinking about taking a risk, always imagine what the worst case scenario is. It's a calculated risk. And for me, it's like I'm fortunate enough to have like a really dope family. And so if I came out to LA and I failed, then, I could always go home and be supported by them and, try something else again.
Right.
So like for me, it didn't feel like a real risk. It felt like an adventure because I'm like, I have this foundation of family that's going to support me. They ain't gonna they're not gonna be sending me money or nothing. But if I go back, I got a place to sleep and a place to eat when I go back home, kind of vibe. And so I was just like, that's the worst case scenario. I end up right back where I started. So that's not for me. That wasn't a really bad case scenario in the first place. I was like, let's do it.
Yeah, that's how it kind of was for me. I knew like at a very young age that I wanted to move out here. And I was explaining to Tahir. I'm from St. Louis.
Oh, you said you to here. All right, go on.
Yeah. Well, actually, funny story. Tahir actually, I know Tahir through my big sister. Tahir and my big sister went to middle school together, and they were like boyfriend and girlfriend for about a week. And then she like
I heard about that at his birthday.
Yes.
Yes. I heard about that. Her family wasn't a fan of this.
Yes. Yeah. So that I'm like, hi, that's my sister. But I was explaining to him like that year, like it was my freshman year going into high school. I came to LA and I went to New York. And when I touched down in LA, like it was something different about the air. And I didn't know how I was going to get here, but I knew I was going to get here. I didn't care for New York too much. The summer, I went in the summer, a couple of weeks before. It was like St. Louis. I was fortunate enough to go, I was there literally a couple of weeks before 9/11 happened. So I have like photos and stuff of the Twin Towers and all of that. So that was like, when that happened, I was just like, oh my God, like that's crazy. Like I was just there, but I didn't know how I was going to get here. I just knew I was going to get here some kind of way. And I was fortunate enough to have a job. But man, the whole thing, that living situation, it was crazy. Like,
right,
it's different out here. Yeah, and I figured it out, and I'm 12 years in the game, so that's just really crazy. And my situation is similar to yours. Like, I knew the worst case scenario was going back home.
Right.
And I had a family that was pretty supportive. They didn't understand what I was really trying to do because my family is very education. Like, you need to get a degree, which I did do for journalism, broadcast journalism. And so I was like, I'm gonna figure it out. My mom's like, what's a blog? What's a podcast? Does it bring you money? Can you pay it off of it? I was like, yeah, time.
For sure.
Yeah. She's like, oh, okay. Are you okay? I was gonna come and kidnap you. I'm like, just let me stay where I am. I'm okay.
Right.
So, like you said, I think it was just like I feel like people from the Midwest are built different. I guess you could kind of say you're like mid-Northwest, kind of.
No, that's Michigan is definitely Midwest.
Okay.
It's weird. It's weird to consider it that, but it's like on a map, it doesn't seem like it, but it's like it's Midwest in the mud.
Yeah, it's like in the middle, but it's like I know it's north. So I was like, is it north? Mid? What? I don't know how you say
it's
that.
Straight up Midwest. It's just like carved out like that line on the east coast of Ohio and Michigan. It's just like that's the Midwest cut off.
Okay. Well, I feel like we are built different because I feel like I believe that we yes, we could go home to our families, but we knew ultimately like taking that risk, walking in things that kind of like really fulfill us, that makes us happy. And so I believe that we go harder out here than some of the people that are natives or from like transplants from other states sometimes. Just it's the work ethic. And it's like, I can't go home. I don't want to go home. So I'm going to figure it out. So yeah.
No, I mean, there's definitely something different. I honestly just feel like people from the Midwest are just generally really nice too. Like they can't help themselves. It's like, you're really friendly. Like, yeah, Michigan. I don't know what to tell you. Mhm.
I mean, here's the cool thing. If you did have to go back home, you could buy a block. You would have a block of like property.
Oh,
I
yeah, I
mean,
mean, like, I remember before I left, like, I could have bought, like, houses in Detroit for, like, $50, and
yeah.
it's like
In St.
I was
Louis,
like,
you can
"No,
buy a
I don't
house
wanna."
for a dollar.
You said
You
what?
can, in St. Louis, you can buy a house for a dollar. They have this like it's not a mandate. It's like a law,
But you
like
have to go
where
live in it, right?
yeah, so you have to have the equity to like pretty much put into this house to like do the repairs and all of that stuff. But yeah, they have this sale. You could buy houses for a dollar.
That's
And then they
crazy.
have another thing too, where if you have a like a vacant lot or house next to you, and you mow the lawn, I believe for about like 7 years, you can.
You own it?
Yep,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
So
that's like the opposite of LA in every way. It's just
I
like
know.
it's the opposite because like people are, like Detroit's population when I was there was shrinking every year, because people are
Wow.
leaving, and so it's to even like it's not shrinking anymore. Now it's growing again.
Yeah,
But I just remember the max exodus because it's just like there's no opportunity here,
yeah,
and so it's just like if you come to a place like LA, it's like I remember when I first got here, there was literally not a single thing here that reminded me of home. Nothing. Not the
yeah.
weather, not the smells, not the people, not the streets, not the cars, like literally nothing. And I was just like,
Wow.
wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it was. Do you feel like you had kind of like a hard time adapting, or it just kind of like everything kind of fell into place? Besides, I mean, outside of being homeless.
I mean, that's a really hard question to answer when it's just like the first year I was homeless. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, I had a hard time, but it was by choice. It wasn't like I was like, oh no, circumstance says I'm homeless. It's like, no,
yeah,
I just didn't have any income and I had very little money. So I'm just like, all right, well, I'm not gonna go try to spend all my money just on a place to live.
right.
And, so it's just like it was really hard to do that because I had never done anything like that before. And, kind of sleeping out the car and, using the gym as a shower kind of vibe. Like that's
Yeah,
hard. But at the same time, when you choose to do it, like when you choose hardship, it's not the same. You know what I'm saying? It's not
yeah,
like I was never like, woe is me. This is difficult. I'm struggling. Somebody help me. I just handled it and just did it. And it was just like, all right, cool. Where's like, the hardest part to me was like figuring out like what was my lane,
okay.
because I didn't like most people come out to LA with a lane in mind. They're like,
Yeah,
I'm here to be an actor. I'm here to be a ball player, whatever it is. Like you're here to do something specific. And for me, I was like, I'm here to learn about me.
yeah,
I'm here to see like what I can be, what my potential is. And, that made it much more difficult. Like the more you know about what you want, the easier it is to get it. So I had a
yeah,
really hard time getting what I wanted because I'm just like, it's nebulous. It's whatever.
yeah.
I want success. I want money. And they're like, okay, well, how do you want to get it? I'm like,
How you want to get it?
good
That's so
question.
interesting. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, that was it.
No, yeah. It's so interesting that you say that because I talk a lot and speak a lot about kind of like knowing my purpose. When I moved out here, kind of getting comfortable and sidetracked a little bit, and then falling back into that space. And you're like, well, I didn't know what I wanted to do. When I got here, I just knew that I didn't want to be at home, and I knew something would work out. And then you fall into this job that leads you to all these great opportunities,
Right.
which leads you here
Mhm.
to creating your own studio, like and partnering with so many amazing people. Um, what was some of the hardships that you guys kind of came into as, or if there were any, when you and Tony created Transit?
Oh man, there's so many. Like, it's like having a production company in LA is like having it's like having ice in the winter in Michigan. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Oh
like
wow.
everybody has one. Like
Okay.
everybody has a production company. Everybody thinks they know what they're doing. Everybody has a camera. Everybody knows somebody who can DP. Everybody knows somebody who can direct. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a
Yeah.
million directors, there's a million DPs, there's a million production companies in LA. So how do you set yourself apart? How do you get
Yeah.
clients? You know? That's a real challenge. And that was my job, was to find us clients. And so like we've had a lot of really interesting experience with like a bunch of random clients that we only needed for that moment.
Yeah.
So it's just like the company first started, like our main revenue source was we had a couple cameras. We would just rent them out to our friends who we had worked with on those travel channel shows when they were doing their jobs. We would rent them cameras, and that was the main income of the company for like the first year. It's just renting out the
Wow.
cameras that we had. So then the business model switched. Is like I started networking around and we started working on projects with people and starting to be able to show people what we did. We went that first project we did, I got us funding to be able to go to Cambodia and shoot for a month. And so we came back with like a sizzle that was insane. It's amazing. You can actually see the show on KevOnStage Studios app. It's called Destination Everywhere. And
With
it's about
Mike?
a huh?
With Mike?
Yeah, MJ.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, y'all do know
Yeah,
each other. I forgot.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
I'm like,
we
I
took
don't
him to
know this.
Cambodia. He's a Grammy-winning singer-songwriter and did the Anthony Bourdain thing. He traveled around the country and learned about the culture through the music. And we made a really incredible show. We made an incredible show. And that sizzle reel got us a lot of clients because people are like, well, what are you capable of? We're like, this, and they're like, well, I don't need that. We're like, well, we want to sell this. They're like, that's nice, cool. But like, could you do this? We're like, yeah, we can do anything. And so we just started doing anything, and we did it for cheap on purpose. We started off the company being like, look, we're going to charge them bare minimum to get these things done so we can build our resume. Because we know we're good, but nobody else does. And what does it matter to know it if you can't show it? And so it got really challenging. Like it was a real grind for years, just
Wow.
figuring that out. Like our business strategy was, work for everybody for super cheap until the point where people start coming back to us to work with us again, and then raise the price. And then after that, then move into, creating stuff for ourselves. And
Okay.
so using the funding from the other clients to be able to start buying more gear, and just start building. But every risk we took so many big risks. Like our first studio, which I think you've been to before. Remember the one in
Yeah.
Glendale? Yeah, that was a
Hmm.
huge risk. We didn't have any consistent income at that point. When it was like we signed the lease on that place, we didn't have like, oh, here's our client that pays us every month this much. Like we didn't have any of that. We had a little bit of money saved up, and we had some hope and some dreams. And it's like, Brennan, go ahead and find us more clients. So like, that was my job. Find us more clients so that we can pay for the rent that we just, incurred. And so it's just like, oh shit. Well, now there's real pressure, because before I was just like, I could still work as a producer and go make money, and as a drone pilot. So I was like, I'm a professional drone pilot. So like I can go do that or go produce on a project and make enough money to survive for a while if I need to. And then my business partner, Tony, he could go camera operate, and go make money,
Yeah.
and we could be fine. But now we have an office, and we also hired our homie, Rob. So now we have an office and a staff we have to support, and so it's just like, can't just go off and do something selfishly anymore for myself. Like I have to
Right.
actually, I'm here. So that junk was scary. It was really hard. There was like, especially like in 2019, right before the pandemic hit, like in the middle of 2019 was the toughest time we had. It's like all the clients just went away, dried up. There's nothing we could do. We had no income. And we were just like, whew. And the year before we had giant clients, like made a bunch of
Wow.
money. And it was great. So to go from up here to down there, with no guarantee of ever coming back up, and so having to lay off your employees and, things like that, it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
And then when we did get our money back, we got clients. I got us some big deals, and we're like, cool, we signed ink was still wet on these contracts for over $500,000 in deals. And then bam, March
Yeah.
2020, pandemic, lost everything. Then we
Dang.
gained more than we ever lost, because keep your distance.
Yeah.
So,
How?
pretty. Hmm?
No, I said go ahead. You said pretty.
No, how did what? Which was say how to what?
Well, that's what I was gonna allude to. Okay, so you have keep your distance happening. How did you come into that partnership, like with Kev? Like, what happened? Were you guys already friends? Did somebody put you guys in contact, or, you know, how did that come to be? Because keep your distances became a thing, like a really big thing. Which I only
Right.
went to once. I was like trying to sneak in.
That was a good time. You could
It was a
come.
good, great time.
Next one's film. Well, I'll tell you afterwards when the next one's
Okay,
filming. You
yeah,
can
I'm
figure
like,
it out. Yeah, exactly. They don't need to know all that. But no, the way that happened is that my business partner Tony and one of my
okay,
producers we work with, Randy, they got hired to work with another comedian during the pandemic who was doing a
okay,
live stream comedy show. And this comedian does not have a big following or whatever, but he made pretty good money on the show. And they came back because my boy produced it. So he
right,
came to me and was like, bro, look what this comedian did. Like maybe you could do that with one of the comedians you work with. And I was just like, crazy. And Tony's like, yeah, we definitely got to do this. And I was like, all right, cool. And I approached Tony Baker with it. And he was just like, nah, I don't do that. I don't do digital comedy shows, bro. And I think
wait,
that
no,
was
his
because like a
voice
lot of
go
people were
one more
having.
time.
You said
I said
what?
one more time in Tony's voice.
Nah, bro. I don't even do those comedy shows, man. I was just like, all right, because I think he had been on those comedy shows with like those LED walls with like the
Yeah.
audience that's like on Zoom or something like that, and there's like a
Okay.
delay for laughter and stuff. And he was just like, I don't do those virtual things anymore. And I don't think I did. I didn't do a good job of like pitching him what the actual idea was. So that's
Okay.
on me. And so
Okay.
after that, I was really discouraged when, I got shut down hard by Tony. And so I called Tahir, actually. And I told him
Okay.
the idea. And I think I did a much better job of explaining it to Tahir. I think Tahir got it immediately. And Tahir was just like, I was like, do you think it's a good idea? He's like, I don't know. Let me think about it. I'll call you back. And he didn't call me back. He called Kev.
Okay. Okay.
And then Kev called me, and I didn't even know Kev had my number because I didn't even know Kev like that. Like Kev had been
Yeah.
to our studio a couple times. Kev and I had some like really good conversations before because he had come to our studio to film for Tony Baker's YouTube channel. Because
Okay.
we're really in, Tony Baker's one of the owners of Transit Pictures, so
Oh,
like
wow.
Tony
Okay.
Baker's family. He's our family. And so
That's amazing.
yeah, he's amazing. And so I've met him before and had talked to him before. And, we had a lot of mutual respect, but I didn't actually know who KevOnStage was. Like, I just knew him as another comedian that had come with him space. And then who was really smart. Like I talked with him, I'm like, this dude's smart to the mug. But I didn't
Mhm.
know about his following. I didn't know about his fans. I didn't know about how much, community he had built, not fans
Right.
or followers. It's community, real community
Right.
he had built. I didn't know about that. And so he called me and was just like mad at me. He's like, why didn't you call me with this? I'm just like, I didn't even have your number. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we talked about it and we were like, we're going to do it. We started to get things together, but then the pandemic started to like open back up. Remember all those times it was like closing, opening, opening. And then
Yes.
Kev was
Right.
like, nah, I'm about to go back on tour. Like these people are opening up these dates. We're not going to do this. I'm not going to do it. And I was like, dang. And then DL Hughley got on stage and passed out. And then like that day, Kev called me back, was like, all right, so it looks like we're in this pandemic for a little bit longer.
Wow.
Let's go ahead and do this keep your distance thing. And I was just like, okay. And so I'll never forget it. Kev had never worked with us before. He had not like he I don't know who he'd been working with before us. But the experience must have been pretty different because I told him his call time was at like the show was gonna be at 7:00, I think. And I told him his call time was like 6. And he showed up at like 2.
Wow.
But by 2:00, we were already set up. Everything was done. We were just eating lunch, chilling. And so he showed up and was like, okay, what y'all need? Like, what's wrong? Where are the problems? Because he had been promoting the show. So he's like, his name is on this. So he's worried. He's like, I got to make sure this works. I don't really know y'all like that.
Right.
But I was just like, everything's fine, Kev. Matter of fact, let me walk you around and show you everything we did. And so I just walked him around and showed him all the preparation we did for the show and how how meticulous we were about all of it, how the streaming was going to work, where the audience was going to be. And I remember afterwards, he just like sat down by himself out in the chair and was just like looking up at the sky, just like, whoa, kind of vibe. I didn't know
Wow.
what he was thinking at that point. I had no idea, but it
Yeah.
ended up being, a wonderful success. And, what I think 24 shows later is still something that's really popular, people are really into. And it's one of my favorite things that we do. Because, comedy is amazing. That's, the whole reason that we even work in comedy is because Tony Valentino loves comedy. And
Wow.
so we used to go to comedy shows and I mean, these dudes are so talented. These people are so talented. Man, it'd be cool to work with them because we didn't have a way of working with them. And then we, figured out the YouTube thing. We're like, oh yeah, let's do that. In our spare time, we're just going to start YouTubing with, these guys. And that worked.
Yeah.
And so that
That's
brought us to Keep Your
amazing.
Distance, which brought us to KevOnStage Studios.
Wow. And so from that moment, that's how that even came about. Like I think about, I'm like, well, you kind of sometimes you wonder like what's in people's minds. And like
Mhm.
even like I brag about Kev and the app like all the time, like in the story. And I tell people, I'm like, hey, literally yesterday, I told my friend, I said, you're a writer. You came here, we went to college together, you went to Atlanta, you was in New York, you're here now, did the Pride Writing Fellowship at UCLA. Hey, you just got to put it out there. Don't look for anybody to finance it. We know people that have cameras and all this different stuff. Shoot it. Just try. I'm like, because you can't wait on somebody to give you this opportunity. And look what came from somebody, studios consistently telling Kev no and creating this beautiful, crazy, hilarious like app. I love that app. It's like endless content. It's so many things like that you can like,
Thank you.
watch,
Mhm.
catch up on too. So it's just like, hey, somebody not gonna give it to you like you did. Like I created this space myself. Yes, it's think about like you said, like it's how you market yourself. Like that happened to me when I started making candles. I had my own, like mom said to me, like, well, everybody makes candles. I said, everybody might make candles, but they not selling them how I sell them. Like I'm selling a lifestyle. This is a brand. So
Right.
yeah, this person might have it at this price point and I'll have it at this price point, but I'm selling luxury. I know what I'm doing because that's something that
Right.
I knew how to do. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just like inspirational when you kind of hear like people's stories and wonder like what happened and how they got here, and you hear that and it gives me chills. Like I think that's so amazing and dope.
Thank you. Well, we got something coming out real soon that's going to be very special. It's a little bit outside of the wheelhouse of what we've done thus far. It's like our first
Hmm.
dive into like scripted content, or
I
I should
can't
say
wait.
semi-scripted content. And it's coming out really soon. It's called
You.
I'll just let you know, it's called a workplace comedy.
Oh my God.
And it features all the people, like we got some for real dope guest appearances in it. And it's like based, our idea is that we based it off of like 3 shows. The Office, Always Sunny
Yeah.
in Philadelphia, and what's the third one? Parks and Rec.
Okay. Okay.
So somewhere between those 3 shows, you're gonna find what this show is. No, I'm sorry, not Parks and Rec. The third one is what's it called? Curb Your Enthusiasm. Those
Okay.
3.
Okay. Ooh.
So
Okay. Okay. Okay.
finding a middle ground between all 3 of those shows with the talent that we work with,
Okay.
uh, we nailed it. So I'm gonna say like
Wow.
this show is
I'm like,
very
let me go brush up on my acting skills. Let me go take a class real quick. It's been a while.
I say hit the improv scene.
Yeah.
That's really what would be attractive to us. You know, come do the Black People Don't Do Improv show. That's how we groom everybody. That's how we know if we got chops or not.
Okay.
Hmm?
Hey, put me down. I will come. I'm like, I'm quick on my feet. I'm
All
like,
right, say less.
That's one
You
thing I
say
am.
that. You
You know
say
what?
that.
It's interesting. I had to take speech and debate and public speaking.
Hmm.
And so like those tools like also like kind of help you. I'm not saying I'm the best, but
All
I
I'm
would
saying is,
definitely.
all I say is this: we're about to drop a new season of Black People Don't Do Improv, where we switched it
Okay.
up heavy. When you watch that next season, I want you to hit me up afterwards, and if you were like, "Yo, I can do this," then we'll create the opportunity. But all I
Okay.
say is that the worst thing you could do is show up and not be ready for it.
Okay.
So you know what I'm saying? Check it out first is what I'll say, because
Okay.
it's pretty intense.
I can definitely do that for you. You know, being from the Midwest, I feel like I'm built Lexus tough, not a Ford. Sorry. You know how American cars kind of break
Mhm.
down.
Wait, I'm sorry. What were you about to say about American cars?
They break. My grandfather said to never buy an American car.
Well, that was true in the 80s. But you know what I'm saying? Speaking as I grew up in Michigan, where all the
I
American cars are
know.
made, I ain't gonna hear that, because now, you know what I'm saying, if you look at the JD Power and Associates, initial quality and resale value, General Motors is winning. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I'm just putting it out there. I drive GM cars. I drive a Chevy Volt right now. I ain't never had a problem with it. So
Okay.
just putting it out there.
Wait, is that electric? That's electric, right?
It's like a plug-in hybrid.
Oh, nice. I'm like,
It's
ugh,
fire. It's so
these
dope. Like
gas
like
prices.
right now is I feel like a genius, because I'm just like, yeah, I get 50 miles on my battery. Plus, if I need it, I have 370 miles on my gas tank. So, and it gets 42 miles per gallon on the gas after the 50 miles of electric. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that? Is that jealousy? Okay, just curious.
Yeah,
So
I
most
bought
days
a
I don't need any, huh?
I will say this. I bought my first car last year.
Wait, you
I
lived in LA for 12 years and bought your first car last year?
I didn't never have a car.
Okay,
My father has always been very generous, and
got
so
you.
yes, so I bought a Nissan Rogue. I stayed, though I have champagne taste. I was kind of on a, and not that
Mhm.
that's even on a baloney budget, but I was just like, I've never done this. I don't know what to do. And so I didn't even test drive and be honest. I didn't even want to even go through that rabbit hole of trying to go through all these dealerships, test drive stuff. My mom has a Nissan Rogue. I was like, that's the car I'm getting. I'm set. I don't want to look for anything else. Yes, I drive a Lexus. Yes, I want the latest one. That's not in my budget. And maintenance. Now I don't want to think about it.
Yep.
So
So you happy
yeah,
with it?
so I'm happy. I'm happy with it. Like, but I kind of wish that I would have explored the electric car option. Tahir got the Mustang SUV like maybe like a month and a half after I got my car, and I was like, man, like I
It's
should have
nice.
waited.
He had the same car I had before this. This is what my car is like, the gateway car for him, because he had the same exact car that I have, the Chevy Volt. And he's like, this car is amazing, but I want to go full electric. So he went and got that.
I'm now talk about jealous. I got in that. I was like,
Yeah, that car
Okay.
is crazy. You like,
And I
I was like,
know.
this is a Tesla.
It literally was a Tesla. I haven't seen any of the Mustang SUVs. I saw in the past year, at least I never noticed, but I finally saw another one the other day on the highway. And I was like, man, this is so crazy. People are sleeping on this car. Everybody
It's
has a
dope.
road. I feel like I see Nissan roads everywhere. I'm like, got my car. Nobody had this car before. I got it out here. Now everybody got it. Now
No,
I'm
that's
not.
how it works. That's just life. When you know what I'm saying, if you're looking for a red car, you're gonna see a lot more red cars than you've ever
Yeah,
seen before. Just like me
yeah,
now, it's like I see Volts everywhere, and I'm like, I never saw one of these before. Like, it's like as soon as you get one, like all you notice them much easier now. But they've
yeah.
always
No,
been there.
I'm like, yeah, I guess that's true. But I'm just like, oh, I like being by myself. But what is the dopest thing about seeing your dreams come into fruition? Like, if you, outside of what we just talked about, like, what is something that's
You know
just
what's
been like,
funny? Like
wow.
the biggest wow moment for me is still happening right now. Is being the person who's like the CEO of Transit Pictures and responsible for your staff, who sometimes are your family, making sure that everybody has enough to eat. Getting into a space where you create sustainability.
Mm,
For me, that is just beautiful. That is the hardest part about being a business owner, is being to create a sustainable business model so that you can, not only sustain but grow. And getting into a space where that becomes the norm and not the exception to the rule is game changer. It's a game changer. So I'd say that's for me the most exciting thing thus far, is because before it's just like the production company was just a big freelancer. It's just like,
mm,
yeah, like we were like, you're a camera operator, so you're looking for the next cam op job. We're a production company looking for the next gig. So it's like we were a freelance production company is what it felt like. And now we've worked for so many years with so many clients, and all the things that Kev's influence and Tony's influence and everyone's influence is being able to bring as opportunities to the table has made it so that that's not really a huge concern anymore. It's like, are we going to be able to eat? No, now it's by like, how much can we eat? That's the real question
mm,
now.
mm.
Like what is like, where does our plate get full, and how do we figure out how to delegate or grow the team or build the foundation so that we're sustainable in the way that's going to make it so that we can grow in a sustainable way, you know?
Yeah, that's
So, I mean, for
crazy.
me, it's like, that's a hard question for me more so than anything else, because when you're someone who's like me, like I don't live in the moment. I'm always in the future. And so that makes it hard for me to be satisfied with the moment, which is a
Mm,
problem because, like,
yeah,
being present sometimes is really important, and being able to appreciate the moment is something I work on constantly. But,
yeah,
if I was ever completely satisfied in the moment, then why would I keep pushing for the future? And so,
right.
like, I'm not satisfied with the moment because I want it to be better. I'm always thinking about how I can use this moment to make the next one better.
Okay.
And so, in that space, it's just like, yeah, I don't really feel what you're talking about. Like, I don't feel the success yet. I don't feel it at all. It's like, I don't feel any different than I did 5 years ago. It's just,
That's
things around me are different, but I don't feel any different.
Um, that's something, as I think as creatives in general, we have a hard time doing, is being in the moment and being able to enjoy it. And I think I'm an Aquarius, so I'm always in
Mhm.
my head. I'm always very like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? And I can't. It also is part of the reason why I think I have like crazy anxiety. And so it's
Right.
one of the things I've really been working on, was being present, being able to absorb and soak in what was happening. And it was so funny because I was having a conversation with to hear about something, and Pat, and I was like, hey, like, I don't think you realize like who you are, but other people see you in a different light. And so you have to kind of move through that space,
Mhm.
because you can't sometimes do things that you normally used to do, because sometimes it comes with a risk. And so you think about stuff like that. But I think that being in the moment is something that has just been something I've been working on throughout the pandemic, because that's also helped keep me sane. I was having anxiety attacks, literally, Brennan, like every day. Every day. It was something.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear
And
that.
it was the craziest thing about it, I think, was just that I had years ago, I had lost like a job. And so, and it wasn't my fault or anything. Like, and that's being honest. Like, I know sometimes when people get fired, they're like, "Oh, you did something, you don't want to be accountable." No, I literally was getting sexually harassed on my job and reported it, and it just started a chain ball, like a chain of events that would just take place. And so I think, like, also coming from a space where things had ultimately became scarce. And I was thinking about like the industry, though I work in like manufacturing, I was like freaking out. I'm like, what if something happens? Like, do I have enough saved? Or will I be okay? And things like that. And so it was hard for me just to even just enjoy the break. Like my hours got cut. I had been working so much overtime. And then I just got to a point where I was just like, oh, this is what rest feels like. Let me take this moment. Let me enjoy it. And then let me clear my head so then I could take the next step. I give Tahir credit for helping me start my podcast, zooming with the homies and hanging out with him and seeing what he was doing and knowing that was something that I ultimately always wanted to do. But I was like, hey, this kind of saved my life because this is like a form of therapy for me. And so I think that at some point, I hope at least one day out of the year, you really take a deep breath and just smile and look around and just really take it all in. That is my solemn prayer for you.
I appreciate that. I do my best to do that on my birthday.
Okay, your birthday. Oh no, your birthday was just here.
It was like last week, like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, yes, I do remember that. I was there.
Yes, you were. I celebrated with Tahir. Our birthdays 1 day apart.
Yes, I'm like I was there. I'm sorry, like so much was happening. So
yeah, it was intense. It was a good time though.
Yeah, it was so intense. I was like, all of a sudden I got nauseous and I was like, yeah, Tahir. So my mouth doing that water thing, I gotta
go. Not mad. At least you know yourself.
Yeah, I didn't want to be that girl. So he was like, you good? I'm like, I don't know. I'm about to just speed down the street to my house. So yeah. Okay, so we talking about the future. Where would you ultimately like to see, if possible, where would you like to see transit in the next 5 years? Where it could be you and like you as an individual in the studio.
I'd like transit to actually own a studio instead of being renting one. I'd like us to be in a space where we're making scripted content. Like I want us to be compared to like studios like A24.
Yeah.
Like they're for real. And I know that's like reaching for the stars because they're the top of the top. At least in my eyes, they make quality content all the time. But I really just look, I really, that's inspiring to me. So, like I want to aim for that. I want to be closer to what they do. So, having transit be able to make content like that, whether that, for KevOnStage Studios, for other clients, for ourselves, I really want our content just to keep getting better and better. And personally, I just want to own a bunch of property. That's really the goal for me right now. I just want to be able to, I just want to be able to just own stuff instead of just keep renting like I've been doing in LA for the past 10 years. Because like if I lived anywhere else in the country and I made anything similar to what I make now, I would already own property outside of New York. Anywhere but New York or San Francisco, I would own property right now.
Have you thought about maybe looking into getting a rental property back home? Because your market is it's booming. So it would be like now.
Yeah, I've thought about it, but I'm more interested in having a space first for myself and then start building out like income generating assets. Like I've moved a lot since I've lived in LA and I don't want to anymore. I've moved a lot. And so I'm done with it. I'm just like, I'm sick of having somebody else having control over where I lay my head, because your landlord sells the property you live on, you got to go, and that happened to me twice, and like twice in 3 years. And so I'm just like, I'm good on this. Like I just want to have my own and be able to do whatever I want with it.
Yeah. I think what's tricky even about renting in LA as well, it's just like outside of like downtown, because there's always vacancies. It's like everywhere else, like where you would want to live, it goes so fast. It's always kind of so hard to find a spot. I've been in this spot since 2012, 2013.
Wow.
The same spot. And It's rent controlled. And then when we got new property management, they were, like they honored my lease. So, that I don't plan on moving until somebody put a ring on it and we
I'm
getting
mad at
something
that.
together. And even still, I would probably try to sublet. And I know I shouldn't be like, oh, just in case. I don't want to think about that, but it's like I paid 14 for a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So I'm like, and though
You can't
that's
beat
it.
that with a stick.
Yeah, I'm like, I just gotta say, like, I'm trying to get my best friend to move out. I'm like, take the 2nd bedroom, we can just split it or whatever.
Right.
And he's like going back and forth with the idea, but I'm like, this apartment has been I worked at Nordstrom. My closest friends, like, we all have like lived here at some point. So I just want to
That's
hold on to
awesome.
it. Yeah.
Not mad at you. I wish I could have done. I had a $900 2-bedroom, 1 bath in in Koreatown, and it was a piece of crap, but I miss it. That place was amazing. So many memories were made there, and I wish I still had it just to be able to have another
Yeah.
place that's that cheap, first of all, but also just like a getaway because it was really cool. I really like living. I lived there for like 3 or 4 years.
Man, I did that for a couple of years in my K-Town apartment. I had a studio.
Hmm.
Um, and then they wanted to raise the rent, but not make them improvements. I'm like, my water runs slow in my bathroom. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just dip. So that's how I ended up here. But I wouldn't change it for the world. And yeah, LA is a journey. And I tell people it's not for the faint of heart. Like
No, it's not.
it's not. I have so many friends that, came out here. We all came around the same time, and I'm like the last one standing.
Well, congratulations on that.
Yes, thank you. But I thank you so much for popping in.
Oh, of
I've
course.
extended. You gave me
It's all
a lot of
good. Wait,
extra
what was the
minutes.
thing I was supposed to guess? There was something I was supposed to guess. What
Oh,
was I
because
supposed
you didn't go to school. Okay, so because you didn't go to school for video production, so
to? Mm-mm.
that's the thing. Like all my friends, like I said, like we're went to school for communication. So whether it be journalism, VP, or audio production, and so I saw that you didn't go to school for video production. So, actually, you know what? Here's another question, super quick. So, do you edit, or you was like, okay, well, I know my strengths and weaknesses. This is not my
I do
core
not
strength.
edit. The only
Okay.
technical ability I have is flying a drone. Like I cannot do any aspect of production besides fly a drone. I understand all the aspects of production quite well. I cannot edit. I will never sell myself as a camera operator. I am not a sound mixer. It's like I'm not. I'm not a lighting. I don't do grip. I don't do. None of that. I don't push a
Wow.
dolly. I never PA'd. Like the only thing I've ever done on set is be a producer or a drone pilot or
Wow.
AD. I've AD'd, so I guess that's a technical thing. I can assist and direct, but I hate it. So I avoid it whenever I can.
Okay. That's crazy. That is so crazy, but that's like also crazy dope. But I get it. Like you're more of like, okay, like kind of like I do PR. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna reel these clients in. I got that. I can speak, but I can pitch, but nothing else. Mm-mm.
I'm like,
That's
I'll write the
that's
contract.
dope.
Mhm.
That's still so dope. So it's
Thank
so
you.
interesting seeing how you had a pivot in
Mhm.
like your career. So that's what I'm like. You didn't go to school for this. Can you do this? Or
I don't
if you
think
told me, listen, if you told me like, yeah, I learned, I was watching videos on YouTube and all this stuff, I'm like, I know you, like, that's crazy.
nope.
So
I learned on set. Like I was given an opportunity and they were just like, either swim or sink. I was just like, all right, cool.
that's dope. That's so dope. Well, congratulations on all your success and all the success that is coming your way, and continue to fill your cup and let it overflow into other people's lives. And I thank you so much for stopping by. And yeah, I don't have nothing else to say. Like, tell everybody where they can find you. Tell them about everything that the studio has going on, that you have going on, so they can
Um,
follow and look out and subscribe.
all right, so my BIM, I'm fine. My Instagram is just at Brennon Produces. As you can see, it's spelled BRENNON Produces. That's it. KevOnStage Studios. You can download it anywhere. The app. You can download the app anywhere that you download Netflix. It's a monthly subscriber, but I'll give you know what, because you guys are here, I'll give you the first 7 days free. So anybody that goes ahead and gets it now, you can get it for free. Go on there; it'll already be in there for you, and it's pretty dope. Really great content. We're always putting out new stuff on it, as well as Keep Your Distance is going to be happening once a month, pretty much probably for the rest of this year. If you miss that, then you're missing out in general, because it's probably some of the best lineups of comedians you'll ever find. If you like comedy, Keep Your Distance is a win, because you can watch it at any time over the weekend. Perfect date night thing to do. It's super cheap. Highly recommend that. So I Keep Your Distance Comedy on Instagram. There's a link in the bio. You can get the tickets to the next show. And that's it. Thank you so much for having me. I'm proud of you as well, and where you've come. You've been here a little bit longer than me. So good work on that. And yeah, until next time.
All righty. Thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. And I will see you guys back here next week. And don't you go nowhere, because you're going to tell me how to come watch the next show.
Gotcha.